We're gonna get there. So this is the slide where I'm introducing myself, which I've just done. This is me, by the way. So today I would like to talk about a special gift that I've received. A gift that made me feel free and safe at the same time, and that allowed me to show the sometimes contradictory aspects of myself. I recall being in a park in an Italian town where I used to study, and with a dear friend of mine, we reflected on our friendship and what we appreciate about each other. Being in a, let's say, special state of mind that night, and without deliberately choosing my words, I said, what I appreciate about our connection is the space in which I can be everything and everyone that I want to be. At this time, I also studied the predictive nature of the human brain, how we often see the world around us not the way it is, but often the way we predict it to be based on our prior beliefs. We really want these predictions to become true to avoid any prediction error that occur when the input from the world does not match our prediction. Because these prediction errors, they're always connected to rather unpleasant emotions. Well, what we could do is update our internal model of the world, but what we do instead is impose on the world what we predicted, because this process helped our species to conserve energy and survive. But I'm afraid it's the very process that will narrow our vision towards the people around us. Wanting our predictions so bad to become true, we take away the space for our fellow human beings to unfold. But I'm sure we already have everything it takes to loosen the grip on our predictions. And I'm not talking about psychedelics here, even though Steve might gladly offer them, and even though they might help. What I think really helps is to be open to the ambiguous feelings that arise when the other person does not behave the way you predicted, and to become aware of what these beliefs and predictions are, language, while constantly staying present to what the other person has to offer in that very moment, to observe them as well as yourself, the roller coaster of beliefs and feelings. Because I do believe it simply will be worth it. Reminding yourself of why you value certain connections, to commit to loving gestures, or simply staying and being with the other person. I'm sure that all these processes, they do sound familiar to you. But what might sound like a bold statement is maybe love can be expressed through a deliberate relaxation of beliefs, through psychological flexibility. Holding our prior beliefs lightly and letting the input from the other person update our internal models will give them a space to grow in our presence and eventually a space for love. In my life, I want to be mindful of the connections that make me feel this way, the spaciousness, the space for freedom and safety. But what's equally and maybe more important is that I want to be this kind of person who offers this gift of psychological flexibility to the world around me. To my friends, to family members, to romantic partners, but also to clients who I think will profit immensely from being offered a space in which they can grow beyond any predictions. Here's how I got the idea. I was having a conversation last year with someone I just met. She told me that her travels are part of grieving for her mother who had recently passed, not long before that conversation. When listening to that, I remember sadness arising in my body and many stories about what it must mean for her. But rather than acting on these predictions, I tried to stay with her and what she wanted to be in that moment. So we did have a conversation that grew beyond my predictions and that felt genuine and real. So her feedback inspired me to write this little talk and to view psychological flexibility as a gift. as a gift that, in my opinion, needs more attention, more scientific attention in the interpersonal realm, especially in therapy, connected with what we know about the predicting brain. I think psychological flexibility is a gift that others will only appreciate if you give it to yourself. Thank you very much.